Foundation. For those who might be joining us for the first time, let me just say BHF Foundation is a youth organization that is principally set out to educate, inform, direct, and be able to see how we can be able to build up a solid youth for the next generation. I've always said in this program that the elders are the stories of yesterday, while the youths are the stories of the future. We seem to live in a country where no much emphasis is placed on the youths because the elders feel they will be in this world forever. Even when they are getting older and older, they think that they will remain forever because some of them in politics have stolen so much money, and they think that with the money that they've stolen, they will be able to use it to keep themselves alive forever. But it's not so. It's not so. Every country that has made progress, every country that is making progress now, are countries, nations with great leaders that put the youth in focus, with leaders that know that their stay here is temporary, leaders that know that they are not going to stay here forever. So it's just a matter of time. They will be, they will definitely go. Even if you are a president, you are a governor, you can't be governor and president forever. And so, for the best thing that any normal one person that finds himself in leadership position to do is to leave a legacy. It's not about stealing, but we have this mentality. It's not just about the leaders alone. It's a Nigerian thing. That's why you see that once a Nigerian gets elected, members of his community, his village, his tribesmen, his church members, his mosque members, the whole party that their son have been appointed. In fact, they go to the church, they go to the mosques and the rest to do thanksgiving that their church, their tribesmen have been appointed as minister, as governor, as president. You see them hold fanfare celebration. Because the whole idea is that our area, our locality, our senatorial district, our tribe, our religion is now well positioned to loot the treasury of the nation. So what they are celebrating is the looting of the treasury of the nation. And that's the biggest problem we're having in Nigeria today. And that's the biggest problem of leadership. Like I said, this is a youth organization. And we'll try as much as possible to be able to educate our youth on what leadership is all about. What leadership is all about. Leadership is not about acquiring wealth. So when a leader is appointed from your church and the rest, it's not about going to give God thanks and whole party and doing this because no. It's service. It's service. I remember when they were doing during the election of 2014 or so, most of the campaigns that were done, even by members of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, the pastors and the rest, the campaign is just that the vice president is from my church, so elect him. That was the campaign. It is not about whether a person is competent or not. I've had cause to challenge some people then, where the pastors and Redeemed then were close and were discussing. And the only thing he was talking about is not about how competent the vice presidential candidate was then. It was how it's important that we vote somebody from our church. So it's all about from the church. That's what they think about leadership. But true leadership is about service. It is not what you can get from the people, it's what you are willing to give to the people. And I asked myself, I saw the guy, the pastor, a few years before the end of the Buhari's regime, Buhari Osibanjo regime. I saw him and I asked him. In fact, he was the one that called me there and I was even apologizing. And he said, I made a mistake. I'm very sorry. Because I remember that it was a heated argument. The only thing he was talking about is that the vice president is from their church. And so that's why they must vote him in. That's what he was saying. Because we had this, our office were in the same complex. By the end of the first 4 years of the Buhari's government, this guy could no more afford the rent. In fact, they had to move out of the office complex, started operating from his house and the rest. And so when you saw me, he was telling me that I made a mistake. I'm very sorry. I made a mistake. Please apologize. He was apologizing to me. I said, you don't have any reason to apologize. You don't have any reason to apologize. So his own idea then was that the vice president, that is the mentality. So he was not thinking deep. So yes, the vice president is from your church. How has that helped you? How has that helped the economy? How has that improved your status? Because at the end of the day, these guys, they have about 3-4 staffs. But after the first 4 years of Buhari's government, then he didn't have a staff anymore. Because he couldn't afford it. And at the end of then, he had to move out to his own territory, move out to his house where he was operating, because the economy was completely devastated. So it's the same mentality. You see somebody that will come and tell you, the reason I'm voting for this president is not because the president is competent, it's because he's from my tribe. I have to vote somebody from my area. I have to vote somebody from my religion. So if you continue to think like that, it shows the poverty of thoughts is increasing. Your level of reasoning is terrible. It shows you are an individual that wants to remain enslaved by the lies of religion or tribalism. There is no different market for the Yoruba man. There's no different market for the Hausa man. There's no different market for the Ijaw man. There's no different market for the Isoko man. We go to the same market. And so if your idea of voting somebody is because he's from your tribe, then you are a very foolish person. Because it makes no difference. It doesn't affect the cost of things in the market. It doesn't. It doesn't. There's no market for Muslims. Neither is there market for Christians. Or there's market for Hindus. We are going to the same market. So you think of competence. You look at the person and ask yourself, can this person be able to deliver? Does he have a track record? I'm saying this because 2027 election is still about 2 years from now, and we see what is happening among the politicians. Their focus now is about 2027 election. It's not about the economy anymore. Things are getting terrible. The insecurity is getting worse. And that brings me back to the question I want to ask. The Fulanis, have they been licensed to kill by the federal government? Because we expect a drastic action to be taken against these headers. Are the Fulanis above the law? I try to look at the history of the Fulanis in Nigeria. And I found out that the Fulanis literally invaded the north around 18-something, where they conquered the north, which means the Fulanis were not original Nigerians. They are invaders that came into this country through Usman Danfiodo in 18-something. They defeated the north and they replaced the northerners with their own tribesmen in place of leadership. So if ever you find out there's emir all over the north. And gradually the history of the north, the history of the Hausas is gradually being eroded, being forgotten by the dominance of the invaders, the Fulani invaders. After the success of the invasion of the north, or the invasion of the north and the collapse of the traditional Hausa system, they introduced Islam, which is a good means, religion, which is a good means of also holding people captive. And so with the introduction of Islam and the rest, they were able to have a stronghold over the Hausas, using Islam as a tool to hold the original Hausa man in bondage. If you check it now, you find out that most key positions are held by Fulanis and not by Hausas, the original owners of the north. So we don't hear much about the Hausas anymore because they've been replaced by the Fulanis. So the term Hausa Fulani is just a story. The Fulanis are actually in charge of the north as it were now, using religion as a good example, as a good tool of control. So religion, thank you for those joining us. Thank you very much, those joining us around from Gombe, outside this country. You are welcome. You are welcome. Just join us across the country and outside this country. So religion actually is one of the biggest problems we are having. It's a tool. Until today, it's still a tool. I mean, I remember when the previous election was held, the election between Jonathan and Buhari, then one of the biggest instruments they were using was religion. Even here in the South, you hear people talk about we need to vote a Muslim. You know, Jonathan is a Christian. We don't want to. They don't talk about competence. They talk about religion. That's why you see that the Nigerian situation is a pathetic situation. It has nothing to do with competence. In fact, the last election of 2023, they deliberately brought in a Muslim ticket. And what did they do? So that they can use that Muslim ticket not to investigate the competence of both the presidential candidate then and the competence of the vice presidential candidate, but as a means of distraction. So the only thing people were talking about was having a Muslim ticket. It's not a Muslim Christian ticket. That has nothing to do with competence. How competent are they? Have they been truly investigated? I didn't see any true investigation, deep investigation to be able to find out how competent they are. Because both the president now, Tinubu, and also the vice president, they've been around the corridor of power and they've been in power. You know, so they will have investigated to find out who they are. There were a lot of rumor then. It's not alleged. It's not. We cannot confirm it, but just alleged then that even the vice presidential candidate now was among the founders of the Boko Haram then. It was not properly investigated whether it is true or not, because everything was overshadowed by a Muslim ticket. And so people were interested in saying, no, we don't want a Muslim ticket. That is not the issue. The issue is, what is their record? How competent are they? And I think it's time for the government to say, no, we have to put these things in order. These are things that the government are taking for their own advantage. They're not interested. It's why the northern leaders. Look at the Al-Majari, or what do they call them, all over the north. I remember Jonathan then came up. I was building an Al-Majari school across the north, trying to return these abandoned children and the rest to take them to school so they can be educated. The north cannot make progress. The richest African today is from the north. But look at the north. Look at the high level of poverty in the north. Because the only means of survival is for them to be in government so that they can be sharing government money. That is the only means of survival of the northerners. Because they have not been well educated, well informed, to be able to stand on their own and develop the north. 60 years after independence, the north is still where they are. The other day I saw a program, something on social media, a northerner who was selling carrots and the rest, and he was washing the carrot with gutter water. The same gutter water where he is himself is the same gutter water where he's washing the carrot. That tells you how they are. That's why you have all kinds of sickness and diseases from the north. Because the northern leaders are not thinking of how to make the people develop. They are not thinking about that. Go to the north, you will understand what I'm saying. And it's a terrible disservice. How precious, educated young men from the north have been marginalized and use religion to hold them captive. If you are looking for security men, if you are looking for those who will clean your gutter, those who will clear your grass, those who will dig your sock away, you will go to the north, you will get them. So we have thousands and millions of people who don't have education, they are not enlightened, and they are everywhere. And these are the same people that the northern leaders are using to hold this nation captive. And I ask myself, will Nigeria ever make progress? It's impossible. It's impossible for Nigeria to make progress, no matter how intelligent you are. I don't want to belong to the same people who try to condemn this government and the rest. I don't want to, because Jonathan was there, Buhari was there, Basajo was there. You know, what kind of progress were they able to make until Tinubu came in now? Yes, there's much suffering now than before because of the devaluation of the naira and also the removal of subsidy, blah blah blah. All these are economic policies introduced by the Western world, and unfortunately, Tinubu buy into the Western lies that will hold Nigeria captive, mentally poor, and to remain poor. When Trump came in, the first thing Trump did was trying to see how he can be able to reduce the cost of energy, because everybody knows. So at the Nigerian economic team, I just wonder, these are just professors, they are doctors, they are this. You know, is it that they don't know, or they just want to satisfy who is in power and satisfy the Western world? Everybody knows that when it's a common knowledge that when the cost of energy increase, the cost of production increase, inflation will increase and poverty will increase, and the people will suffer. Trump is thinking of how to reduce the cost of energy. IMF will not come to tell Trump, this is what you must do, this is what you must do. Why are they not telling Trump? I mean, because the US today, the debt the US is owing today is the highest debtor in the world. The US, Japan, they are all owing IMF billions. But yes, IMF will not have the courage to tell the American government how to run their economy. They will not tell Britain. They will not tell Germany. They will not tell Russia. Russia is owing. Germany, they are owing. But why must they always come to Africa to begin to tell us how to run our economy? And the economy that will keep Africans poor, to remain poorer, with the same agenda of turning Nigeria as a nation in need of AIDS, so that they can begin to use AIDS and the rest to continue to hold our economy poor, because they know that Africa is the home of raw materials. And it's a common saying that the borrower will be a servant of the lender. And so since we are borrowers, IMF ensure that we continue to remain borrowers, then we will continue to be servant to the lenders, and the lenders will begin to tell us how to run our economy. I just read in the paper, after so much money that the Nigerian government have borrowed, this administration have borrowed, that they are about borrowing more again. They're unending borrowing. Even when you don't see anything they are doing with the money, they just keep borrowing. And IMF keep borrowing. Because the idea of loaning money to Africa by IMF, World Bank, is to use that as a strategy to keep Africans stranded, to make sure they remain poor. The IMF doesn't want to help our economy. What the IMF want to do is to destroy our economy, so that we can continue to remain servants to the lender. Well, our ancestors, our fathers, and the rest, our previous leaders, they fought and fought and fought for the independence of Nigeria. So they've granted Africans political independence, but the Western world have decided to ensure that we remain economically slaves to the Western world. Slavery is still on, but it's economic slavery. They have held us captive so that they can tell us what to do. Now look at what is happening to the economy. No subsidy, no this, no this, no this. No, it's not happening. Not up to recently when Dangote started his refinery, which he will tell you the battle he went through to see that the refinery begin to work, even with fighting here and there, even from NNPC and the rest, trying to see that the refinery does not work. Dangote will tell you what he went through to see that the refinery works. But for years, Nigeria was one of the 6th largest producers of oil. We had no refinery. Just like Ghana. Ghana have gold. But the gold refinery, where they do the gold, is not in Ghana. Nigeria has cocoa. But if they want to turn the cocoa to chocolate, they take it to Europe. It is Europe that has the factory where you turn your cocoa to chocolate. While Nigeria that has cocoa does not have the factory. That's the crazy system we are running. Look at Africa everywhere. Niger Republic here until the military took over. I mean, Niger is one of the highest where you have uranium from. It is the uranium you have from Niger that they use to power electricity in France. But Niger is in darkness. Burkina Faso, the same thing in darkness. When are we going to have true leaders in form of Thomas Sankara that will put Africa first? Not IMF first, not Europe first, not America first. Africa in Africa first. Where the raw materials are owned by the indigenes. A situation where we can be able to say, you want chocolate? Open the factory in Nigeria. You can't come to Africa to take cocoa and take it to Europe to turn it to chocolate. We won't take it. Until we have that kind of leaders, we will continue to remain in economic slavery and poverty. And let me say this for those who care to listen. The Western world don't want good leadership in Africa. They don't. If you are waiting for Europe and America to assist Africa to have good leadership, you are wasting your time. They will continue to assist those they can blackmail. They don't care if your leader is a fraud person, if it's fraudulent. They don't care if your leader has billions and billions of naira in Europe and America stock up in their account. They don't care. As long as it's somebody that they can use, they will support him to become president. That's the tragedy of Africa. And so the question I want to ask, who will deliver Africa from this bondage that we find ourselves? It's the same thing that is happening now, even with the Fulanis. I said before that the Fulanis are not originally Nigerians. They are invaders that came to Nigeria in 18-something. They came through the north, established Islam, and tried to move towards the west. And because of the in-house fighting in Loriden, they were able to. One of the Afonja was able to bring in the Fulanis to assist him in the battles he was having with a fellow Yoruba man, and that's how I invited the Fulanis, and they came in, they assisted him, and they took over. And now the Ilori is now a Fulani base, and it is from Ilori now that they are trying to launch and see how they can take over the West. You check these areas where all these things are happening. You think it is the issue of cow? It has nothing to do with cow. It is not today with the rare cow for Nigeria now. You don't think? It is deeper than that. Tell me the nation, a sensible nation with a leader, a good leader, that 200 people will be killed by cattle rearers and a drastic action will not be taken. Oh, they just make so much noise and noise and noise and noise and behave as if they want to do something. And before you know what is happening, that's the end of the matter. And now we'll be waiting for the next time these Fulani headers will strike again and kill. During the time of Buhari, the killing was on. And people looked at it and were confused. And then they look at it and they say Buhari was actually, everybody knows that he's a tribal bigot. Everybody knows that, he loves his tribe. And so he did nothing much about it other than coming to say, live in peace with your friends. All the killings that took place in Benue and Plateau during the Buhari regime, a retired general, what action were taken? I don't even know whether anybody was even arrested. No. They're burying people. Now that it's out of there, Tinubu is in there now. And the question I want to ask, will Tinubu be able to solve this Fulani issue in the Middle Belt? Because the whole attempt is to see how they can take over, how the Fulanis can take over the Middle Belt. And if the Middle Belt collapses, they already have a stronghold in the West, using religion as a tool of colonization, using religion as a tool of manipulation. So the idea is that if they take over the Middle Belt, they can be able to see how they can take over the South, take over the West, then spread to the South. Because the target of these guys is to take over Nigeria. But you see how the Europeans, the Europe is doing everything possible, the West is doing everything possible to defend Ukraine. Because they know that the battle that is taking place now, if Ukraine collapses and Russia takes over Ukraine, Russia will not stop there. Russia will move over to Poland and other places. So the idea is how to take over Europe. It's the same strategy that Adolf Hitler used. Same strategy that Putin is also want to use. So the Fulanis are trying to take over the Middle Belt. And if they succeed in taking over the Middle Belt, then they will take over the West. And once they grab the West, the next thing they will grab the South. So the idea is not an idea of cattle rearers. As it is now, the Benue state is completely devastated. People have been killed. Thank God the General Police just announced that 28 people have been arrested and the whole world is watching. What will happen to them? Is it going to be an endless judicial case that is known? That's what the Nigerian judiciary is known for anyway. A case can be there for 30 years. Grammar. And it's a common knowledge that justice delayed is justice denied. These Fulani headers have been killing people for so long now. How many of them have been punished for this evil? You go to somebody's village and slaughter over 20 people. And the question I want to ask, if businessmen from the South, because let's look at the headers first. It's their business they are doing. They are making money from rearing cattle. So it's their business. I don't even know if they pay tax. This is their personal business, for goodness sake. So places in the West and in the South are known for fish. Will they now invade the North because they want to establish their fishing industry in the North? What the Fulanis are doing in the South now, if the OPC, they are doing it in the North. Will the Northerners not react? I will remember about a few months ago, 2-3 months ago, when suspected alleged hunters, that's what they said. They said they were hunters. We don't know how true it is. That were killed in Isha land. My God, you saw the reaction. The reaction was something else. Almost all the Fulani governors in the South, in the West, in the North rather, they reacted. Oh, we are seeing videos and coming from everywhere. It's 7 headers were killed. Hey, they are hunters. It's very funny anyway. You're a Fulani, you're a hunter, and you leave the North and come to a village in Isha land, Edo North, to begin to do hunting. Does it make sense to anybody? It doesn't. Everybody knows that this is a lies. But we saw the reaction. Talk of a community where 200 people, if it is 200 Fulanis that were killed, would this nation not be on fire by now? What is going on in Nigeria? That's why I want to say, if we cannot stay together as one, why are we forcing ourselves? Why is the leaders, one Nigeria, is it by force? If we cannot stay together, why don't we separate so we can have peace? If we can't stay together as one nation, why don't we separate so that there can be peace in the land? How long will this madness continue? How long would the South, with towns and villages in the South, continue to allow the Fulani cattle rearers and herders to begin to destroy their farm and kill them? Every day you see on social media how cows, the Fulani herders will lead cow into people's land to destroy their crop. Ah, my God, which kind of wickedness is this? And I begin to wonder, which kind of human beings are these, for goodness sake? Somebody suffered to plant, and before you know what is happening, you will go there with your cattle to graze and destroy the farmland where you took money to plant. Some even to take loan to be able to build up that farm, and they destroy it. And they do it because there's no consequences. It's a common saying that if evil is not punished on time, the mind of the evildoers is to continue to do evil because they know they can get away with it. And because this is a crime they've been doing and getting away with it, the crime will continue. The crime will continue. And it's becoming very obvious right now that even the security agencies, especially the army and the rest, they seems to be capacitated. The armies are trying their best. In all fairness, in the Nigerian army, they are trying their best. So I think the issue, they're incapacitated in the sense that there seems to be some political powers that are making it impossible for the army to really do their work. Because Nigerian police, they have the best in the world. They are the best in the world. With what they have, they've been able to show that with the limited equipment, they are among the best. So how long are we going to continue to remain like this? But I can give you my own opinion. This present generation of youths, to get to a stage where they will say enough is enough. If we don't stop it now, if the government does not stop it peacefully, it will get to a stage where the youth will rise up and say, we can't continue like this. Where some group of people, because they have access to gun, will stop people from going to farm, kidnap people, rape them, commit all kinds of atrocities. How long will Nigerians continue to remain under bondage by the Fulani invaders that are making it impossible for farmers to go to farm, are making it impossible for people to remain peacefully in their home? Because the whole intention is to target people and take their land, just like what they are doing in Benue and Sokoto, Benue and Plateau State. And mainly is the Christian community they are targeting. The whole attack is against the Christian community. It's an old system of jihad. The issue right now that is taking place now, it is not about herders, farmers. It's a jihad. Jihad against the middle belts. Jihad against the Christian community. That's what is taking place now in Benue State. That's what is taking place now in Plateau State. President Tinubu will end up making a legacy, a name for himself if he can put an end to this. Because let it be known that it will get to a stage that people will react. They cannot continue to make life unbearable for people. These Fulani invaders, headers. And the most annoying part of it is when they come out to say, it's foreign Fulani people. I don't understand it. We see all kinds of things on social media. How the foreign Fulani invaders were invited into this country, empowered to fight against Nigerians so that they can leave their ancestral home with the Fulani invaders to occupy. But it won't happen. This land does not belong to the Fulanis. Nigeria is made up of over 350 tribes. You can't tell the Benin man to leave his ancestral home, the Yoruba man to leave his ancestral home, the Isoko man to leave his ancestral home for the Fulanis to come and occupy. It will never happen. So they should put a stop to it and think of how we can live in peace, since we have found ourselves in the same geographical entity called Nigeria. Please, those who are sponsoring these Fulani invaders, these Fulani jihadis, should please stop, so we can have peace. We didn't come to on earth with land. Everybody will die and leave the land one day. So why not we try to think of how to live in peace while we are still here? Can't we live in peace? Are they created for fight and fight alone? Don't they have the gene of peace in them? How long will this madness continue? Will Nigeria continue like this? This is BHF Foundation, YouTube. It's a foundation that is set up to assist the youth, as I said. Foundation that is against drugs. We fight against drugs, we fight against court, we fight against sexual immorality, we fight against gangsterism, like what the headers are doing now. The headers are basically gangsters. And they are youths that they are using to perpetrate this crime. And we saw how a lot of youths were killed in Benue State and also in Plateau. The youths are affected. That's why we have to come in to speak, because we're a youth organization. We need peace in the land. I want you to subscribe to BHF YouTube, BHF Movie on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel, where you continue to have updates on what is happening regarding the genocide that is taking place in Benue and that took place some time ago in Jos. And people know that they will take place again because it's just a matter of time. The genocide has been on. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been killed. And the only thing you keep hearing is that we are investigating. We are investigating. Nothing comes out of it. And we don't know how long it's going to continue, because it's a terrible act. But we have to put a stop to it so we can live in peace. Because we desire peace. We want to live in peace in Benue State. We want to live in peace. Please subscribe to BHF Movie, BHF Foundation, share. It's a youth channel, also broadcast, tell people. We want more people to subscribe, because we want to get up to 15,000, 20,000 subscribers. We're having a youth conference in less than a month and a half from now. It's a youth conference against drug. You always see the flyer on BHF Facebook. The flyers is there for against drug, cult activities, and sexual immorality. We're having a conference against drugs, conference against secret drug cult, because drug is playing a major role. We see some of these bandits. When you see them, they catch them normally with drugs. And the reason why the bandits are still operating is because we keep having politicians in government who are supporting them. That's why it's still on. Remember, President Jonathan, former President Jonathan said once that they have bandits in his government. We have bandits there, they know. There are bandits in the government who are supporting them to commit this crime, this killing, this evil, destroying properties. And it's time that the president, Tinubu, leave a legacy for himself by confronting this evil and putting a stop to it. Until we meet again later in the evening on BHF Foundation YouTube, and bring updates on what is going on between Nigeria and other parts of Nigeria as regards the youth. Please, I want you to watch our movies. We have a lot of movies on this YouTube channel that we shoot that will keep you entertained. Watch our movies on this YouTube channel, and please subscribe to keep the youth organization going. And the YouTube channel is BHF Movie on YouTube. BHF Movie on YouTube. It's a youth channel. We want the entire youth in Nigeria to be connected to this channel, so we can help to build a healthy nation. Until we meet again later in the evening, please take good care of yourself. Stay out of trouble. Protect yourself. Be very vigilant. Be very smart, because there's so much wickedness around. And we pray that the security agents will be able to sit up. They are the best. The politicians should please leave the security agents alone to do their job. We have confidence in our police. We have confidence in our army. If only politicians will leave them alone, they will be able to defend this nation very, very well. Until we meet again, please take care of yourself. My name is David Elo. I'm the Executive Director of BHF Foundation. We'll meet again in the evening. Time out with Elo David. And if you want to be part of BHF Movies, please, we'll be able to ask you to communicate with us, because our phone numbers are always there: 080 07052 085237. Take good care of yourself.